Nina. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'm participating in the Pretty Pink Posh October release blog hop, and I'm really excited to be sharing you this fun peekaboo interactive card that features some of the newest products from Pretty Pink Posh. This card features not only the super cute Halloween scene, but it also features a fun interactive element that opens up a window to see to another panel layered up behind the card itself. I'll be showing you how I created this card in the video, so let's get started and first take a look at the products we'll be using in today's card. I've got the Halloween Friends and Giving Thanks stamp sets, both from Pretty Pink Posh's newest release. I'm going to be pairing these up together to be able to create my scene. I'm going to be using many of the elements and critters that are included in the Halloween Friends set, and then I'll also be taking some of the pumpkins from this Giving Thanks stamp set to be able to add them into my scene to help finish it off. This stamp set is absolutely adorable, and I can't wait to use this one as well. This was a really cute one, and I love those little bears dressed up as pilgrims. Now, another fun product that's included in the new October release from Pretty Pink Posh are these peekaboo window dies. These are really fun interactive pieces that you can die cut from paper and then be able to open them up to create some really cute windows. These are really fun and create really cute interactive surprises on your cards and are really simple to put together. Here you can see the interactive window that I've created on this card. I used the largest one to create this really fun double door window that opens up to a fun scene inside of the window itself. So this is a really great way to add some interactive elements to your cards really simply and easily. So let's get started on using these products to create our card. I'm taking a piece of white cardstock that I cut to 6 by 3 inches. This is going to be a slightly longer card and a slightly shorter card than normal A2 size. I'm taking that peekaboo die and I'm lining it up along the left-hand side of my card, centering it up into the middle area. I'm going to run this through my Big Shot machine, and then I'm going to remove the die, and you can see we have our peekaboo window already die cut and ready to go. Now you'll also notice that there's a little latch that's holding those windows closed. You're going to want to go ahead and pull that apart to be able to open it, or you can leave it closed so that way the person that receives the card will be able to open it themselves. I chose to open it for this video so that way you could see the card in action, and I'll show you how I go ahead and pop that open later on. Meantime, I'm going to be taking that same panel that we die cut our peekaboo frame with, and I'm going to take a stitch die to add some stitching details along the edges of this panel and help tie in the other stitching lines that we have going on the sides of our peekaboo frame. Again, I'll run this along all 4 sides of this card panel. Once I've gotten all my die cutting finished, it's time to work on some stamping. I'm taking the sentiment from the Halloween Friends set. This is Happy Halloween. And I'm also going to take this little boo stamp that's going to be stamped on the inside of our card. This panel that I'm stamping the word boo onto is about 3 by 2 3/4 inches. It doesn't have to be a perfect size. I just need something that was slightly bigger than the peekaboo frame that we've die cut into our panel, because this piece is what's going to be layered up behind our larger panel to create the fun window scene on the inside. I'm stamping my sentiments with Simon Says Stamp Clear ink, and I'm just going ahead and stamping these down right onto my cardstock, which I had already prepped with some EK Success powder tool just to cut down on any static cling. I'm going to be heat embossing these pieces, so I want to make sure that I cut down on any static cling that might be on the paper. Now I want to ink blend my sky to create this really beautiful nighttime scene, so I'm going to start off with some Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm going to apply a really heavy hand of this ink onto the bottom portion of my card. Normally when I do ink blending, I like to start off with the paper and work my way onto the cardstock that I'm doing my ink blending onto. But for this particular case, because I want such a heavy saturated color for this night sky, because I want it to be really deep and dark, I'm going to actually go directly onto the cardstock itself. I'm going to have some areas where I have the impression of the ink blending tool itself on the paper, but because I'm applying such heavy, thick coats of this ink onto the cardstock, you won't end up seeing it because it'll basically get covered up completely. I'm adding in chipped sapphire and wilted violet to my sky to darken it up, and I also went back over top of the transition area between the chipped sapphire and the Mermaid Lagoon one more time with the Mermaid Lagoon ink. I buffed off the ink that's sitting on top of my heat embossed sentiments with a dry rag. There's not much on there, but I wanted to make sure I had these nice and bright white. Now I also die cut a bit of grass using a grassy border die from My Favorite Things, and I'm adding some Twisted Citron Distressing to the grass for the first layer of color. going to bring in some mowed lawn, and I'm going to brush some of this ink along the bottom portion of my grass just to darken it up a little bit. You could ink blend this onto the paper like I did for the Twisted Citron, but it was so small I figured it'd be just as easy to go ahead and brush it on this way instead. Now I also want to add some detail to this grass, so I'm taking my Zig Clean color markers and I'm going to add some grass detail onto the grass itself just to give it a little bit of extra dimension. This is really easy to do. I'm just basically creating flicks of color up towards the top portion of the grass just to make it look like there's grass blades on this panel. Now I'm going to start putting this scene together. So I'm putting my grass up onto my background panel. I'll line that up along the bottom portion of my card. Then I'll go ahead and open up those little window flaps so that way we have them separated. You can see that was pretty easy to do. I just was very careful as I did it so I didn't rip my cardstock. And I'll go ahead and prep these windows with a bit of folding just to make sure that they're ready to go when the recipient gets the card. Now I want to add some stars to this background because of course this is a night sky, so what's a night sky without some stars? So I'm using the new 1/4 inch stars from Pretty Pink Posh. This is the silver color. There's also gold and iridescent, and I'm absolutely excited about these because these match up perfectly with the mini iridescent confetti stars that Pretty Pink Posh released earlier in the year. I'm gluing these on with glossy accents, but you can use any type of liquid glue you prefer. Now I'm also bringing in some of those small confetti stars, and I'm going to add dots of glue all over the background, and then I'll go ahead and start dropping those stars into that glue. I chose glossy accents for this because the iridescent stars in particular are very, of course, sheer, so you can see right through them, and I wanted to make sure that the adhesive that I used behind the stars wasn't going to show as much, so I chose the glossy accents for that reason because it dries clear. Here's a look at how the stars add so much texture to this background. We're going to be adding a little bit more detail to the sky in a few minutes after this has had some time to dry, but the twinkling stars absolutely look awesome, and I love how they catch the light. Now, I want to mention that I colored these critters off camera because I used very simple shading on these critters. I basically just used one color marker for each image and just did my shading with the one color. And it was very easy to do. I used Zig Clean color markers to do all the coloring. So because it was so simple and easy, and I wanted this video to focus on the fact of how to create the interactive card, not so much the coloring, so I'm not going to show you that. But I wanted to mention that I did color these off camera using my Zig Clean color markers, and then I fussy cut out the images from the Halloween Friends set, and I die cut the pumpkins using the coordinating dies from the Thanksgiving stamp set. Okay, so now I've got my little critters, and I'm ready to go ahead and start adding them onto my card. Now for this particular bunny, I wanted him to be up on the window itself, and that way when you open it, it's going to have the bunny come with it, because I wanted the bunny to be in front of that window. So I just used some foam tape and attached it to the top portion of his head, and that attached then to the window itself, and I didn't have any adhesive anywhere else because I wanted to make sure that this window would actually still be able to be opened. And then for all the other images, I'm using a mixture of regular adhesive and some foam tape to add some dimension towards the top of the images, and then the bottom of the images are adhered flat onto the card because we used the regular adhesive to attach them down towards the bottom. Now for the little ghosties, I'm adding them onto my card using some regular ATG adhesive. I'm just popping those down. I wanted those to be flat onto the card. And then I'm also going to add some of the little candy pieces onto my card as well using some liquid glue. I really love how this adds so much to this fun little scene. This card is so much fun to create, and I really love how the Pretty Pink Posh images work so well together to create these really fun cards. Now next it's time to work on the inner portion of the card. So we're going to work on the window that goes behind our window peekaboo frames. So to do this is really easy. I'm going to show you how I went ahead and put this together. I took a piece of white cardstock that's cut slightly smaller than the 3x6 inch panel that we used to create our scene. I'm attaching my little panel that's going to go behind the window frame. I'm going to lay that down, not pushing it completely because I want to make sure it's centered up onto my scene panel. I'll go ahead and lay that onto the white cardstock, and then I'll line up my scene panel on top just to make sure it's lined up perfectly. Once I did that, I took some double-sided tape and I'm putting some fun foam on the back side of my scene panel. This is going to give it some dimension up off of my card and really make that panel that's behind our window frames pop even more because it recesses that panel behind our scene and really adds a lot of depth. Once I have the fun foam attached to the back side of my scene, I'll go ahead and lay this down onto that white piece of cardstock, and that'll hold everything together. Next, I'm going to take my critters. I've got the little bear here and also the raccoon. I'm going to trim them down because I had forgotten to attach them before I attached my seam panel on top. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the sides of them to make sure that they fit. But if I had remembered, I would have actually applied these critters down onto that background piece before I attached the seam panel up on top. But it worked out okay, and it was perfectly fine to go ahead and cut these down and adhere them down onto my card using a combination of foam tape and regular ATG adhesive. Now it's time to add a bit of detailing to our scene. I'm going to take some Nouveau Crystal drops. This is the white gloss color, and I'm going to add little tiny stars into the background of this scene. This adds a little bit of extra pop of white to the card, which of course is the perfect contrast for all the black that we have going on here. And I'll just create little dots to emulate stars in the distance. And then after I created all the stars, I'm going to add some Spectrum Noir clear sparkle over top of my black card base, which is what I used to matte behind our scene panel. Now this is a great way to create your own glitter paper. Just adding the glitter onto the edges of the cardstock card after you've adhered everything together saves you from having to apply it to the entire card base itself. And this saves not only on the amount of glitter that you're applying down onto your cardstock, so you're not wasting as much, but also it creates the look of a real glitter paper, which is really, really fun. And this is also a great way to get custom glitter papers really quickly and easily. Now I'm going to add some glossy accents to the eyes and noses of my critters, just to finish them off well. And then I also ended up deciding to add a bit of sparkle and shine to the candy using that same Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. So I hope this has given you some inspiration on how to use some of the fun new products from Pretty Pink Posh to create some really fun interactive cards. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and head on over to my blog where you can get more information not only on this card and the products used, but I'll also have information on the Pretty Pink Posh blog hop because this is day one of a 2-day blog hop that's celebrating the Pretty Pink Posh newest release. There's lots of fun designers participating in the hop, and I hope you'll be joining us. So again, make sure you check the link down in the video description below to head on over to my blog. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, here's another one you might like featuring Pretty Pink Posh exclusive products. Please give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can connect with me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, as well as my blog. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.